Hello friends! Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, and I enjoy this news. I have collected so much current political information that summarizing it all it's going to be a Chinese job, but I will tell it in another video. Meanwhile, I bring out this current issue that is lighter and more sensational. These are the topics that I am most passionate about. Opinion article. Was the Federation spied on by remote viewing? Declassified CIA document shows attempt. They tried to monitor a Galactic Federation ground station. It was done in the Stargate program with Stanford University. Lyn Buchanan mentions that there are 5 ET bases within the Earth. Captain Frederick H. Atwater visualized 4 alien bases. They are all inside mountains, and some humans work there. There are bases in the Lost Mountain of the Pyrenees, in Alaska and in Zimbabwe. This was showed in the movie The Men Who Stare at the Goats. Mike Pence announces that members of the Space Force will be called Guardians. Let's start. A declassified CIA document demonstrates an attempted remote viewing of a Galactic Federation headquarters. A declassified CIA document dated 1988, but published nearly a decade later, the manuscript shows a remote viewing section attempting to peer inside one of the Galactic Federation headquarters, presumably on Earth. This news was published 2 days ago on December 17 in Collective Evolution by editor Arjun Walia, and therefore it's very fresh. The CIA, in conjunction with Stanford University, developed a program known as Stargate to investigate the paranormal abilities and phenomena that some human beings are capable of, and perhaps all of us are capable of. One of the projects under the Stargate umbrella was the remote viewing program. Declassification. The government's program lasted about 25 years before it was declassified and supposedly closed. From the literature that has been made available, the program was clearly very successful, and the remote viewing phenomenon was quite helpful to the intelligence community. An article published a year after the program's declassification by one of the program's co-founders, Dr. Harold Puthoff, states the following in quotation marks in the Journal of Scientific Exploration. To sum up, over the years, the back and forth critique of the protocols, the refinement of the methods, and the successful replication of this type of remote viewing in independent laboratories has produced considerable scientific evidence of the reality of the phenomenon remote viewing. Adding to the strength of this result was the discovery that a growing number of people could be found demonstrating high quality remote viewing, often to their own surprise. Close dots. Testimony. Dr. Jessica Utz, former chair of the Department of Statistics at the University of California and a professor there since year 2008, states the following about the program in quotation marks. What convinced me was just the evidence accumulated while working in this field, and I was able to see more and more evidence. I visited the labs, even beyond where I was working, to see what they were doing, and I could see that they had really tight controls, and so I was convinced that it was being done by the good science that I saw. And in fact, I will say that as a professional statistician, I have consulted many different areas of science. The methodology and controls of these experiments are stricter than any other area of science in which I have worked. In my opinion, this is a shame that special skills like this are not studied within mainstream academia, but are studied at the highest levels of governments with the intention of gathering intelligence. When it comes to technology, special skills or solution to world problems, it is not technology people's capabilities or those solutions that will change the world. It is the consciousness behind these things. What do we use our new discoveries for? What is our intention? Do we use them to promote the human experience and for the good of all people, or for something else? This is the reason why solutions that arise in various fields, such as clean energy technology, for example, are never applied. Personal experience. Another example of far-flung visionaries speaking between star-vista quotes is Lyn Buchanan, in dots. After the army, a branch of the government asked me to do a study article to compare and contrast ET psychic ability with human psychic ability. The study I did was because they gave me access to many of the things that never became the Blue Book or anything like that, because they couldn't be denied. Anyway, studying it, I found out that we can take aliens of all different types and species of all that and put them into four main categories. We have those who are more psychic than us and those who are less psychic than us. In each of these two categories, we become friendly and hostile to ourselves. Hostile non-psychics tend not to come here. They don't like us. They don't want to be around us. Friendly non-psychics come here to trade. Psychic friends really want to help us develop our abilities and become stronger at it. And the hostile psychics want us to erase ourselves from the planet. They want us dead. He also mentions 5 extraterrestrial bases found on Earth. She says that they are all within mountains, and that in some of these bases human beings are working with these beings from other worlds in various ways. Other cases. She is not the only viewer to mention these alien bases, as Ingo Swann told many fascinating stories in his book, Penetration, the Question of Human and Extraterrestrial Telepathy. That's the title of the book. Additionally, Joseph McMoneagle was another individual who had experience in remote viewing of extraterrestrial presence. Then there is Pat Price, who along with Ingo Swann is described as one of the most successful visionaries, as his sessions were extremely precise. By the way, you can look up any of these names in the CIA electronic reading room. Legendary UFO investigator Timothy Good tells the story quite well in his book, Unearthly Disclosure. According to Captain Frederick H. Atwater, a retired U.S. Army officer, also participating at the time in highly classified remote viewing experiments for the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency, as well as at the Army Intelligence and Security Command, Price had remotely seen 4 alien bases on Earth, one of which it was located under Mount Seal, North Territory. Mount Seal is about 80 miles west-northwest of Pine Gap. Price believed that the base contained a mix of personnel from the other bases, and one of the objectives was to transport new recruits with a general tracking function. The other bases were said to be under Mount Perdido, Mount Lost, in the Pyrenees, Mount Iniangani in Zimbabwe, and coincidentally in Alaska, and the Mount Hayes. Price described the occupants are similar to Homo sapiens except for the lungs, heart, blood and eyes. Remote vision. The declassified literature has several examples of successful remote viewing experiments, as well as real-world examples. It is safe to assume that the entire program and its content were not declassified, and this seems evident from the testimony of multiple remote military visionaries who were a verifiable part of the program for many years. A common theme among many of the viewers is his great interest in the alien phenomenon. Interestingly, this remote viewing session took place in 1988. In the first place, where would be the CIA get the idea of even looking for some kind of the Galactic Federation? It's a question. In the first place, where would the CIA get the idea of even looking for some kind of Galactic Federation? This raises many questions. Remote viewing is the ability to describe the remote location regardless of the distance and proximity to the target from a given location. Basically, if you had this ability, you could accurately see what's on the far side of the moon. It's if at all of you could see what's inside a specific building in another country, if you were given the coordinates. There are some who only need a map and a pendulum to work. Remote viewing is the psychic ability to receive information or impressions of an event, person, or object, or place that are at a great distance. It is considered as a form of extrasensory perception. The term was made known during the 1970s by physicists Harold Puthoff and Rachel Targ to separate it from clairvoyance. Remote viewing was popularized during the 1990s by the declassification of documents related to the Stargate project carried out by the US government. The project was a paranormal capability research program that began in 1975 because of the military potential of psychic phenomena. The program was closed in 1995. A psychic is a person who possesses an ability to perceive information hidden to the normal senses through extrasensory perception, or is said by others to have such abilities. It is also used to describe theater performers who use techniques such as sleight of hand, cold reading, and hot reading to produce the appearance of such skills. It can also signify an ability to the mind to psychically influence the world and the presumed telekinetic faculties that Uri Geller professes. Galactic Federation. The idea that there is some kind of galactic federation of races representing a benevolent force in our galaxy or universe is not a new idea. Channelers, those who claim to be in telepathic communication with different persons, with different groups of aliens, have transmitted this idea to the human species for many decades, to the human race. This idea recently surfaced against when Chaim Eshet, former head of the Israeli Defense Ministry's Space Directorate, Army General and respected professor, claimed that the US and Israel have been in contact with intelligent aliens for quite some time. He specifically referred to the Galactic Federation and highlighted how they are waiting for humanity to evolve and that we are not ready for contact, although apparently we are prepared to be deceived and abused. That's my opinion. Currently, the nations of the world are working together in the investigation of the UFO phenomenon. There is an international exchange of data. Perhaps it will be possible to spread the news to the world when this group of nations acquires more precise and definitive information. I expect the first official contact by 2025, along with the declassification of hidden technologies. Science fiction. In the Star Trek universe, the United Federation of Planets is the fictional interstellar government that sent Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and the crew of the Enterprise spacecraft on their mission of peaceful exploration. Commonly known as the Federation, it was introduced on the television shows Star Trek 1966-1969. The survival, success, and growth of the Federation and its principles of freedom have become some of the central themes of the Star Trek franchise. The Federation is an organization of numerous planetary sovereignties, and although viewers are never informed about the inner workings of the government, although many episodes refer to the rules and laws that the Federation imposes on the characters and their adventures. The New Republic is a fictional government in the Star Wars universe. The government is a restoration of the Galactic Republic, a democratic state that ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years until it was reorganized into a Palpatine's Galactic Empire. He appears for the first time on a screen in Star Wars, The Force Awakens, where he is depicted as the ruling government of the galaxy and the main target of the First Order, a military power that seeks to restore the Galactic Empire. Tyrannic Empire, I mean. It was destroyed 30 years after the Return of the Jedi, 1983, by the First Order and its Starkiller base when Hosnian Prime was destroyed. Stargate Project. The Stargate Project, in the 1991 code name for a secret United States Army unit established in 1978 at Fort Meade, Maryland, in the Defense of Intelligence Agency, and SRI International, a contractor of California, in order to investigate the potential of psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications. The project and its predecessors and sister projects were originally given various code names. Gold Wish, Grill Flame, Central Lane, Project ZF, Sunstrike, Scanate, until 1991, when they were consolidated and renamed Project Stargate. Project Stargate's work primarily involved remote viewing, the ability to psychically view events, sites, or information from a great distance. The project was overseen until 1988 by Lieutenant Frederick Holmes, Skip Atwater, 8, and 6 Scout to Major General Albert Stubblebine, and later president of the Monroe Institute. The unit was small in scale, comprising about 15 to 20 individuals. This show was featured in the 2004 book and 2004 film, both titled The Men Who Gazed at Ghosts, although neither of them mention it by name. Excuse me. Space Force. Pence announces that the members of the US Space Force will be called Guardians, and the network is soon bursting with laughter. Disney is going to sue Space Force for calling its member Guardians, but netizens watch a superhero movie. Vice President Mike Pence announced on Friday that a member of his country's new Space Force will be called Guardians. Many internet users highlighted the relationship between the chosen name and the Marvel movie Guardians of the Galaxy. In dots. We have just returned from the Oval Office, and I'm honored on behalf of the President to announce that from now on, the men and women of the Space Force will be known as Guardians, he declared during an event held to commemorate the law that commenced 1 year he created that military body. Meanwhile, a tweet from the Space Force noted that the name was chosen after a year-long process, which produced hundreds of presentations of materials and studies, with the participation of space professionals and members of the general public. The name's Guardians connects our proud heritage and culture with the important mission we carry out, protecting the people and interests of the US and its allies, he added there. Despite the enthusiasm of the Space Force online watchers, were quick to rain down memes on the subject, with many immediately linking to the new name to Marvel Studios. In 2014 superhero movie Guardians of the Galaxy, as we have said. Some even predicted legal trouble for the Pentagon, as Marvel is a subsidiary of the intellectual property media set Walt Disney Studios. However, the Space Force anticipated such objections, noting that the name Guardians has a long history in space, noting that the name Guardians has a long history in space operation, predating the superhero movie franchise by the decades. Other commenters offered a litany of suggestions for alternate names ranging from stormtroopers, Jedi Knights, science police, and apparently a crowd favorite, space cadets. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot for listening me.